and welcome back to Longmeadow Living History. I'm Kathy Grady, and we have with us today a person very well known around town, especially certain parts of town, like down by the river, Arlene Miller. And we're so glad to have you here today, Arlene.
Well, thank you.
You've lived in Longmeadow a long time?
Well, 1978, we were just discussing, so what's that, almost 40 years? 30 years. 34 years.
Yeah.
That's long enough.
That's good.
That's a long time.
That is a long
Sure.
time. You've seen a lot.
We've been settled here, but I'm not, you said history. I feel a little old talking about history. But I don't know.
But, you know, when I was in college, my American history teacher said, we don't go past World War I because everything from then on is current events.
Okay.
You know, we laughed our socks off.
Yeah.
We're children
I'd rather
of the
be a current event.
We left our socks off. And now I'm thinking, oh, that would be like now in the 70s.
Right.
That is current events.
Well, the town.
He was right.
The town was a lot different before we came than after. I mean, it was, by the time we got here, it was very settled. Before
Pretty
that,
settled.
a lot of the folks
So why'd you come to Longmeadow?
Well, my husband got a job. It was really exciting. He was a physician, and he'd been training forever.
Yes,
finally,
as they do.
As they do, and he finally got his board certification in rheumatology, and this is where we came.
And he got a job here? Or he opened a practice here?
Well, he was hired by a group here, Springfield Medical Associates. And we were coming from Pittsburgh, where he'd done his training, University of Pittsburgh.
Oh,
and he was very excited that one of the reasons we chose Longmeadow was in Pittsburgh. He had to drive either under a tunnel or over a river to get into the city because the university was in the city. And it would take between 30 minutes and an hour to get to and from the hospital. When he found that there was a community that was like 10 minutes from his office, that was very, very exciting.
No bridges, no rivers to cross.
Trust me, he clocked that very carefully. He said, this is wonderful.
It is wonderful.
Yeah, so
it's
a
a
nice
wonderful
location.
place. Very different from Pittsburgh. But you're originally from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Northern New Jersey.
Now, for those of us who only know New Jersey by exits on the turnpike.
It would be the end of the turnpike. I'm just at the north
down
end.
This end. Not the Cape May end.
No, the north end. I'm 15 minutes from New York City, from the George Washington Bridge is where I grew up, Bergen County.
So was it a town like Longmeadow?
It was a nice town, Teaneck, New Jersey. It was, Pat Boone lived there.
Pat Boone,
Yeah.
wow.
It went through some transitions. My father was actually the mayor of Teaneck for many years. I
You
know,
inherited
it's a joke. It's in my blood. Yes, that's right. That's right. It's a joke.
And you were, of course, a bocce star.
But in Teaneck.
In Teaneck, New Jersey,
Yeah,
bocce star.
absolutely.
Not everyone knows that. I want to get it on record.
Well, actually, I'm more famous for my bocce in New York State at our summer home where we built a bocce court because of my father's passion for bocce.
Most people don't even know you're Italian.
Costa is my maiden name. Yes, Sicilian Italian.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right. Be good.
I'm going to be good. Very careful.
Good.
Very careful.
No. Yes, those are my roots.
Okay. So, so you came to Longmeadow, and did you have kids then? Or
Yes,
later?
we have two children, Tracy and Brad. Brad was 4 at the time, and I guess Tracy was 6. So she went to Converse. They both went to Converse Street School before it closed. Yes, so there's some history.
So we just talked
About the big event.
about the big event, the closing of
Big
Converse
vote.
School.
Sure.
Yes.
They were in the first. I think Tracy might have been in the first graduating class, or the group that went to Blueberry and then went to Williams. She was in that transition group. But Brad, I know he was in Blueberry by 4th grade, so I can't remember.
So you came right into a lot of activism.
Oh, it was a fun time. Longmeadow. But I loved the open meeting. I mean, the town meeting. I mean,
right
you can
away.
Only imagine, somebody who has politics in their blood get to sit through some of the. I don't think I've maybe missed one since we've lived here. I mean, I'm committed. I'm addicted, probably is a better word. Committed to town meeting.
Everyone's addicted to something.
Yeah.
I never heard of one town meeting, but.
No, well, I think it's important, first of all, to participate, and second of all, they're fun.
Well, it is, but like when I moved here, which was like 77. I had always lived in cities. I had no idea what town meeting was. I mean, I thought maybe only certain people were allowed to go, or
Right. Well, I didn't really know what it was either, but as soon as we
we tried to destroy it for Commerce Street School.
well, we found out about it quickly. Sure, certainly.
Yes.
Those were. It was interesting times, and those votes were close. The big Y vote was close.
Yes,
I mean,
we talked about that with Tom.
was
Yes,
very.
You know, the closing of Commerce School was his first. His first time in the chair as moderator.
Okay, but before that, Henry Frisbee was the moderator when I came.
Right.
For a short time, and then.
Right. That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And that was Tom's first meeting, the closing of Commerce in Greenwood.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting times, and the town has made some tough decisions, but we've adapted and adjusted, and the community remains strong, I think. So.
Oh, so you were active first in the League of Women Voters, right?
Right. I had been. We lived in our training years, so my husband was training.
Those decades, yes. Just felt like that.
He did his internship and residency at the University of Minnesota, and not my kids were I was just having children in Minnesota. The kids were born in Minnesota, and you go crazy if you don't have something to do in Minnesota mentally. So I joined the League of Women Voters, and back then it was so exciting. I mean, all the young educated women who had kids would go to the league, bring your kids and whatever it was.
And do good work.
Oh, it was fabulous. It was exciting. So I had experience with it, and then we trained around, and I hadn't been involved. But when I got here, interestingly, one little tidbit you might enjoy is that for some reason they were having a discussion about closing the dump at a League of Women Voters meeting, and Mary Roganis somehow got my name, and I have no idea how, and invited me to go to this League of Women Voters meeting. She was active in the local Longmeadow League. And so I said, oh, sure. I didn't know who she was. I mean, whatever. I didn't know her. But I went to this League meeting in Longmeadow and got involved.
Because the League always cared a lot about the environment, right?
Oh, definitely.
Always.
Oh, they were long time.
So what was the issue about closing the dump?
Well, at the time, it was in the late 70s, 78, 79. The federal government had just passed the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act.
And they didn't want to dump down next to the river?
And,
My.
And it was everybody began to understand that, everybody put their landfills or their dumps out of sight, out of the way, near a waterway. It was, all over Massachusetts, all over the country, people did that. So they were starting to realize that wells were getting polluted and so on and so forth. So if you were within, close to water, the state said, you got to start to cap it or close it. And the town looked around and they thought, oh, it's really expensive to cap it, close it correctly, and then use it. They had to line it or close it. And the town said, we can't afford to line it. We could have lined it and made it a safe landfill. Then it was a dump historically. So just
you
a
mean
pile of dirt.
Have
a liner. You dig it out, have a liner, a impermeable liner, so you could continue to use it like a current landfill. Well, the cost to do that was very high. So the town said, well, we're not going to do that. We'll just bring our stuff someplace else. Well, the closest place was Bondi's Island. But
no, so wait a minute. So capping it is also expensive, right?
Capping it is closing it. Yeah, capping it and then saying good night. We're done.
Okay.
Blah blah blah.
Okay, so we're going to bring our trash. I love talking the history of trash with
trash?
you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyhow, so
trash talk.
That was the issue, I believe at that meeting. And to tell you the truth, it's somewhat of a blur. Obviously, it was 30-some years ago, but
because it was controversial to close the dump.
Well,
we didn't have a choice, do we?
Well, the closing the dump wasn't the controversial part that I got involved in. It was, well, what are we going to do if we close the dump? Because at that time, anybody that lived here then, and you would probably know this, we had a trash hauler that came around to pick up your trash every other week. And on the off week, you brought your trash, most people did, to the dump down on Tina Lane.
Oh, yeah, somebody told me once, we used to take our trash down to the dump and sit back, have a beer, shoot some beavers.
Oh, it was a fabulous, social gathering. But not only that, but the hauler would go to your back of your house, to your garage, and get your container. He would bring it to the street, empty your garbage, and then bring your trash barrel back there. So every other week.
And before that, they used to go in the cellar.
Exactly. That's before we got here. I don't know. Was that?
Yeah, no.
That
it was before. And it was
while.
Also when there were ash cans,
Right, so people could
ash from
burn
coal and like that.
and that
yeah.
stuff, yeah. So the conversation was, well, what are we going to do with our trash? And being a League of Women Voters person, anyhow, the selectmen at the time asked for volunteers to serve on a committee to look at it. Well, Ann Southworth was a selectman and a League person, League of Women Voters person. So somehow, I don't remember how my hand came up, but but I volunteered to be on this committee that was going to look at what to do. My dad always said, if you don't complain about something unless you're willing to get in there and figure out a solution.
That's right.
So I volunteered and was on a committee, and Ed Childs and a couple of people names I can't remember right now, but we're on that committee, and Ann Southworth, and we brainstormed, well, what are we going to do with our garbage? And so
And it was garbage then, not too many people had.
oh, there was no recycling. I mean, there was maybe
yeah, but also garbage disposals.
yeah, well, that's right. It probably predated garbage disposals, but there was maybe some. I don't recall the Scouts recycling at the recycling center, but there are stories. Pete Santos and others say, well, we did recycling. We started recycling. I said, I don't think so, but maybe they did. I don't know. I think that maybe started, stopped. But at this point, it occurred to us that if we the most logical place for Long Meadow to bring its trash was to Bondi's Island. Now, it's a spit away, so that made sense. Of course, that wasn't going to be as cheap as dropping it in in Long Meadow, down by in the meadows.
In our
So right
backyard.
away, that became more expensive. So then we had to decide, well, if we didn't have a place to bring it on the off week, what's going to happen if we do every other week curbside pickup? So we said, well, we really
Where
have
did the haulers take it?
the haulers took it to the dump.
The same place we took it?
Oh, sure. The haulers could use our
that
dump.
is a lot of trash.
Yeah. Oh, the haulers they may have taken it. I don't really know, to tell you the honest truth.
okay.
I don't remember. They might have taken it to Bondi's Island. That wasn't our issue.
Okay.
I mean, they charged the town whatever the town paid for it out of taxes, and it was picked up. And I mean, it was not a lot of money we were spending at that time on trash, because dumping it was so much cheaper, because nothing was lined. It was just a hole in the ground. And, whatever. Nothing was regulated. And when these regulations started to come in, that's when the costs of managing this stuff accelerated. So what are you going to do with it on the off week? So our logic was, well, we should pick it up every week. Well, if we picked it up every week with the current program, that is, the guy gets out of the truck, walks to the back of your house, picks up the container, brings it back, it was twice as much as if we did it every week and picked it up at the curb. So we made this radical decision that we'd introduce recycling. So the less trash we had to dump, we figured that out way back in the late 70s.
That's true.
The cheaper it would be for the town. And if we did it every week at the curb, people would be served well, and they wouldn't have a 2-week load of trash that they couldn't get rid of on the
And it wouldn't cost twice as much.
And it would cost less if it was right. So I can remember I had a neighbor by the name of Charlie Lichtenberg, who you maybe have heard of, but he was a really wonderful person, but he was very traditional, and he was so mad at me because I was supporting bringing the trash to the curb. It was going to look awful having a trash barrel at the curb, he said. Why are you mucking with a system we already have going in the back of the house? I can't have everything, Charlie. He says that. Anyhow, so the selectmen adopted this, and it was a big deal because we had this old sort of hometown hauler, might have been called Long Meadow Trash. It was something like that. Company. It was a guy who'd been doing it forever. And he couldn't do it every week. I mean, it was something about, it was too much work or too much something. And so the town went out to bid, and he didn't get the contract.
So it was one guy with a truck?
Well, it was it had a trash truck. But it was a very small, the local small hauler. I deal with this all the time now. But then he lost the bid to a bigger haul. People were a little upset that didn't happen. But that's all history now. But the exciting part for me was, so we started collecting paper and bottles and cans at the recycling center. We set up it was very crude then, but a recycling center. But we had a process.
Not the sophisticated, beautiful place it is now.
No, but the point is we only took paper, newspaper, cardboard, if I remember correctly, bottles and cans, but the bottles and cans had to be, the glass had to be segregated by color. I mean,
right, I remember that.
Nothing was all mixed together. You had to segregate it. So, and we wanted to do it as a drop-off, but Ann Southworth had this idea that if we could use a town truck and have a trailer behind the truck. We could go around once a month, curbside, I think it was once a month, and pick up this stuff. So she and I would literally, and whoever volunteers, we would drive a truck and pick up the stuff.
You were a trash collector?
I was a trash collector for a short period of time.
Well, my goodness.
Yeah, and then the place evolved once we joined the MRF, and I don't have these numbers in my head, but we, the town, found a vendor to take the glass and the paper, and all the money came directly back to the town. So we ran our own MRF recycling center down there. And then, as the regulations got tougher and the idea of recycling grew and the costs just started going like this per ton to get rid of, to dispose of the trash. I mean, it was like, I remember when it was $3 a ton and now it's $80 a ton. When we joined the MRF, then we said, well, instead of bringing it down there, we'll just bring it to the MRF. And now our contract is much different than it was back then. But that was how it started. So it's very exciting. And when I first ran for selectman, the committee, became a member of the recycling commission. The town decided, well, we need somebody a group to advise us. So this little ad hoc group that advised the selectmen about what to do with the trash sort of morphed into volunteering to become the recycling commission, and the town meeting created the recycling commission. And so I did that for I don't know how many years. I was chairman of that on and off. But I realized once I found out so much about trash and how it affected the town, and you got to meet the seniors and the young people, and you got to meet all elements. Everybody produces trash. That's when I ran for selectman. There was a vacancy, and I said, well, I knew a lot about the town then because I'd been involved with garbage. So it's kind of cool.
It's one of the most expensive things the town does.
Yeah, it's almost $1 million a year.
And people don't, it's in their tax bill.
Well, not all of it now.
Not now, but I mean, it was in their tax bill. So all they could feel was the loss of service. I was reading 1967 Selectmen report, and they said, we know how hard it is that we're having ground level pickup of trash now, and we're going to try and get it back.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, sure. Well, the league actually, before we made these decisions, did a survey through myself and other people, designed the survey to the town just to ask people what they thought about every week pickup versus every other week. Where does your trash go? Some just routine, really silly questions. And I cannot tell you how many people said, to answer the question, where does your trash go? It goes to the curb. No, absolutely.
And then magically.
Absolutely. And since I've been working in the field now, that's not unusual. I mean, it's absolutely normal that people have no clue, out of sight, out of mind, and free. They just think it's free. It's their God-given right to put out whatever they want. Well, when you were one of my heroes in voting to put in the new program, so that was huge. It saved the town an enormous amount of money.
Now, when you got on the select board, and that would be like in the early 90s?
No, I think it was in 86, possibly.
Oh, 86, right. Jerry came in the early 90s. You were already there.
I was. Yeah, I came in, we had Proposition 2.5 during my lifetime. I was the president of the Springfield Area League of Women Voters during the Proposition 2.5 debates. So I got to participate in all that stuff before it passed in Massachusetts. And then when it became law, I was by then a selectman. I don't remember, but it was very close. So it was, learning to live with constraints and learning the override process and struggling with our budgets. Sometimes we had a lot of money, sometimes we had no money, just like it is now.
Yeah.
No, nothing much different. But yeah, the trash issue wasn't so violent when I was a selectman because it was
settled.
It was settled.
It was every week. There was recycling.
It wasn't as expensive as it is now. We had entered into the long-term contract with Covanta, and we felt secure, and the Springfield MRF was there, and we didn't look at it as
What's Covanta?
The waste-to-energy facility on Bondi's Island. Where does your
that's
trash go?
Goes to Covanta. Now I know the answer. I actually know Bondi's Island a little better.
Well, Bondi's Island is both a landfill, a sewage treatment plant, and waste energy facility.
Where they burn stuff.
They burn they incinerate the trash.
I know, you told me that. I cannot tell you how often it comes up in conversation.
Burn-
I say, well, you know, our trash is incinerated.
Right.
Just like I knew.
Yeah, well...
Now I do know, so I
Well,
practice.
it's interesting because it fits in with some of our policy. For instance, some of our policies include you can put dried paint with your trash. Well, we can even take oil-based paint with our trash because it is incinerated. If it was
wow, they could
landfilled,
burn
well, that's what you do when you recycle. When you take it to a hazardous waste event, dried paint gets incinerated. So we already have an incinerator. And it's the same high temperature stuff that they do. So I don't want to get into debate about if you like waste energy facilities or not, because some people...
No, I have no opinion on waste energy.
Yeah, some people just go, oh my goodness, you're burning the trash. But, you know, my opinion...
Seems like a good idea.
Well, in my opinion, you know, landfilling, it isn't a whole lot better.
There aren't
I would
a lot
say
of
if you're
good
going to
choices.
complain about this and complain about that, then produce no trash, and I'm happy to do that. And if I show you how to do that, but...
So were there other big issues while you were on the select board? Trash was kind of quiet at that point?
Oh my goodness, there are always big issues. Let's think, what would they have been? Well, we were trying to do a new town yard, and we tried for an override. We were defeated. And then the next year, the library, I remember this so clearly, the library marched in with a big renovation of the store's library, and it passed with not a blink of the eye. I thought, what did we do wrong? Clearly the town yard isn't as endearing to the population.
Nobody sees it. They don't go there anymore?
As the library. The library just it was the same amount of money. I mean, the library just passed. It was really amazing. But we had issues. We had the school expansions when I was on the elementary school expansions, Wolf Swamp and Blueberry Hill. We had
And Center first, right? Or had Center already been done in the 80s?
Center, right? Center was. I must have been there. I didn't
must have been
get too
there.
involved. There's so many iterations of Center that the public safety complex was. When I was there, my name is on the public safety complex.
Your name is on it? Why?
Because I cut the ribbon. I mean, it was the last year when I was a selectman. We opened the new police and fire. We renovated the police station and built the fire station.
We didn't have a fire station before?
When did you come to town?
78, but I was 77. But I was busy. I was working in Connecticut. I had kids. I was busy.
The police and fire operations were in the old police station. Both of them. The fire section was where the community meeting room is, and the bays in the back was the fire section. And
they mustn't have had many trucks.
Well, though they had trucks.
They did?
It was all stuffed into that area, and so we built the fire complex, station complexes new. That was all parking lot. Before that building.
Well, it's beautiful. Good job. Good job.
Well, the wonderful thing about it was at a time when we'd started the capital planning process, and we started a capital enterprise fund. The town had established that, and Jerry, in fact, was the first chairman, as you probably know, of the capital planning committee.
Jerry Nillette, we interviewed him.
But we had the foresight with the town administrator and the treasurer to, when we had extra money in the free cash, we would put it into this capital enterprise fund. And so the capital enterprise fund grew to be a nice piece of change, and our board took the bold move of bonding for the new the public safety complex, the renovation in the new building, without going for an override, but paying down that bond through the capital money. So we never had to do an override for that, because of course I was a little override shy after the DPW building was shot down. But we did it, and I think in 5 or 6 years we paid that off. It was not a huge burden on the town. It didn't have to go for an override. It was very cost effective. It wasn't a big mega cost project. And every time I look at it, I think that was the right thing we did.
That was the right thing.
So that was one of the...
And having a professional fire department and all that's very important. It's an important thing for the citizens of Long Meadow.
Well, I think they did a nice job. It wasn't a big, like Ludlow, they have this humongous, fire police department thing, which is very simple. But I think it fits our needs.
It fits.
It fits our needs.
It's right-sized.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it.
Yeah.
So that was a big... We always had personnel issues. That happens in all administrations, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
You had that, but
Yes. So
that was about it. 15 years was a lot of fun. Loved it.
You were on 15 years.
15 years.
Wow. Why'd you leave?
You really don't want to go there, do you?
Oh, okay. Never mind. I just
No, that's
crossed my
okay.
mind. That's true. You loved it.
No, I didn't. No, I did. I loved it, and I was going to retire, and then there was a I really don't.
No,
talk
I
about
remember that. But I'm talking about when you retired. When you decided
to retire. I just decided I wanted to do some other things. It was 15 years, and I wanted to go out on the top of my game. I mean, everything was good. So, but the circumstances changed, but that's okay.
I
We'll
know
talk about that another
I
day.
know that part. We don't have to go there.
Yeah, that's okay.
We don't have to go there. But, well, you did a lot for the town of Long Meadow for a long time. And you went on. You went on to do trash stuff regionally, right?
Right. Well, now I work for.
You do that now.
Actually,
I don't know.
during when I was a selectman, I went on to get a master's at UMass, a second master's.
In your spare time.
Well, it was really kind of fun because it was in environmental. It was in public community. It was in public policy administration, CPA. But it was environmental public policy that I did. But you didn't have to. I mean, it was a long time since I'd been in school at that point. So I had to take these tests, and it was kind of freaky. But it was
Had homework.
But they realized, because it's a graduate program, that wasn't all as important as your background. So I was in class with these students that wanted to be town administrators, and it was all they were learning from a textbook, and they were talking about town budgets and town meetings and human resources. I mean, it was the stuff that, of course, I had been doing for 10 years as a selectman, or 10 or 15 years. I was a selectman while I was doing that. I literally almost taught the budget course up there because they had no idea what they were doing. I mean, not to say the teacher wasn't good, but they didn't have the practical knowledge.
Right,
They had just the book knowledge. And just so many of the courses, it was, suddenly I just knew more than these little kids. Now, they were far superior to me with the computer and some of the other stuff that we had to do, but when it came to understanding how to move through the system and how to public policy, we'd been doing public policy as selectmen, so it was pretty exciting. And so I didn't feel out of it.
That was great.
During that process. But then when I finished being a selectman and was looking for maybe to get paid for what I was doing, really get paid much. The concept of money. I was fortunate to get. There was this job, a new position created by Mass DEP, to be a regional recycling coordinator for 100 towns in Western Massachusetts, and you get paid for doing it. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Well, Arlene, your contributions to Long Meadow and the region, and a very fragile environment we all live in, have made a difference permanently.
Well, that was the thing we did. We began regional programs during my tenure. But
that was a great thing. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Continue your service to the town. You do a great job.
I'm glad everybody gets to know you a little better.
Know about trash and me.
Yeah, Arlene doesn't just talk trash. She also plays bocce.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.